Not just our market on the up at the moment. Bitcoin mania continues as the debut of the cryptocurrency triggers trading halts on the CBOE. Futures surging as much as 26% in their first session, prompting two temporary trading halts designed to calm the markets. Initial volume blew past expectations, while the CBOE's website was so overloaded it caused delays and temporary outages. The CBOE contracts will soon be followed by similar offerings from the CME Group and NASDAQ. This year alone, Bitcoin is up more than 17-fold. The listing of futures is the start of the shift from the fringes of finance towards the mainstream. And taking a closer look at the swings of, well, what do you call it a currency? I'm not sure it is a currency. Really,
it's a currency and a payment system. It's two combined in one.
Well, there's the chart for you on screen. It shows yesterday's range with two temporary halts triggered in the debut session and another to kick it in if the gain extends to 30%. But the question, of course, is, with the Bitcoin bubble burst now, that the cryptocurrency's gone mainstream, does it have further to play out? Well, Martin Davidson is the CEO of Blockchain Centre. He joins us now from our Melbourne studio. Martin Davidson, appreciate your time this morning. Just taking a step back and watching what has been an extraordinary global phenomenon, if you like, through this year and last year that has become Bitcoin. What have you made of it, the rise of Bitcoin?
Yeah, well, it's been quite phenomenal, but those of us that have been in the industry for many years now, we're actually expecting this to happen because as regulation starts to come in around the world, we had the New York BITS license, which means we now have a regulated exchange. So it's just basically playing out as we expected, where you've got more regulated and sort of normal financial instruments where people can now start to trade, and this is allowing institutional investors to come in. And I believe we're going to see 2018 to be a monster year for Bitcoin and the rise of digital currencies in general.
It's interesting, you know, the idea of regulation, because certainly one of the concerns around Bitcoin, and I suppose you could throw in cryptocurrencies more broadly, is a concern around a lack of regulation involved in it.
Well, yeah, sure, that has been one of the challenges for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency because it was born out of the cypherpunk movement, which is using cryptography and decentralized money to protect yourself against the economic winds of the states, as we saw in Cyprus in 2013, where you had the sort of the bail-ins where the government was taking funds out of people's savings accounts. So we saw a big ramp up in the price in 2013. And just in general, I guess Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a hedge against the fiat currency system, but now we're seeing, what with the BIT license coming online, meaning that there's regulated exchanges now that people can use, and now we see Wall Street money starting to come in and the billions of dollars that have flowed into Bitcoin over the last few months since the announcement of the futures market coming online in November, or scheduled for this month now. We've got the CBOE. Next week we've got the CME, which is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, which is the largest exchange in the world. There was fears within the community that now we have the large institutional investors can now do naked shorts and longs. There's going to be a very volatile time ahead. And there was thoughts in the community that the last few months of the price increases was hedge funds buying in to sort of push the price up, so then they can then short it to retrace it back down. So maybe that might still happen, but like so far, the future prospect of the value of Bitcoin is good, but obviously it is a very speculative asset, and it's got a long way to go before the price stability will peter out. But right now, it's definitely very exciting for everyone involved in the Bitcoin and the blockchain ecosystem in general. Yes.
And just in terms of that extraordinary price appreciation that we've seen, some have put it down to a bubble, pure speculation. Others have suggested it is a process of price discovery. Now, how do you view it, and how do you determine value of Bitcoin? I understand how you can determine the value of blockchain because of the applications that it can be used for, but I find Bitcoin a little bit more difficult. How do you view value for Bitcoin?
Well, it's the speculation of what the actual currency will enable. So yes, we've got this store of value where Bitcoins, there's a maximum amount of 21 million will ever be created. There's about 16.5 million created so far. However, it's estimated that about 4 million Bitcoins are actually lost and gone forever. The private keys cannot be recovered. So that sort of reduces the amount that there will ever be down to, say, 17 million. So the fact that it's scarce, the fact that it can't be counterfeited, and it can be used as a payment system. However, it does have transactional throughput issues. So because it is a decentralized system, it can only handle about 2,500 to 3,000 transactions every 10 minutes, which is obviously nothing compared to global payment systems like MasterCard, Visa and PayPal. However, there was an actual protocol improvement this year called SegWit, which actually enables layer 2 scaling solution network.
Now, the Lightning Network will be a side chain that's pegged back to the main chain of Bitcoin, which is the very strong and secure main chain. And then the Lightning Network and new innovations or technologies that are built using Lightning Network will actually enable Visa, MasterCard, PayPal-like payment systems, which could potentially mean that every man, woman and child with an internet connection around the world could end up using Bitcoin as a payment system and as a store of value.
Martin, how do we account for the 13% gap between Bitcoin and Bitcoin futures at the close today?
Well, we've seen this already because there is a GBTC, I think it is called, by Barry Silbert. So it's a kind of ETF on a secondary market, whereby you can actually buy a derivative of Bitcoin, and we've seen that that's been trading now for about 18 months, I believe. And that has also traded as a premium. So any regulated instrument or product is going to trade at a higher value than those of like maybe buying it actually, the actual underlying asset from an exchange, which are still largely unregulated around the world. But regulation is coming. In the next 6 months or so in Australia, there's going to be much clearer regulation around the operation of Bitcoin and digital currency exchanges here. And as I mentioned before, the BIT license in New York is obviously lays down very clear regulation. So yeah.
Fair call. One of the clear attractions for the people who are originally in this space was the unregulated nature. Does this change their view of it? Do they now move out of the cryptocurrency markets?
Not at all, because you can still own the underlying asset. So, I mean, and that's something that we've been advocating for since November 2014. We opened the Blockchain Centre, which is the world's first not-for-profit blockchain education hub, focusing on education, co-working and community events. We've actually just opened 3 more centres around the world, and we've got expansion plans to open 20 more in the next year. And the whole focus of the Blockchain Centre is to enable the community to work on their Bitcoin and blockchain startups, but also to get actual factual information on best practice of how to secure your Bitcoin and your cryptocurrency properly, so that you are able to control that, secure that, so you're not like, you can't get hacked and you can't lose your Bitcoins because of not understanding how to use the system properly. So there is a barrier to entry if you're wanting to use the cryptocurrency properly, which is you take control of your private keys. So you buy the Bitcoin on an exchange or another cryptocurrency such as Ethereum, there's lots of them out there, and then you take the underlying assets off of the exchange and you hold it on your own private key. We recommend that you use a hardware wallet such as a Trezor, and if you store your Bitcoins on this device, it's highly unlikely that you will ever lose that cryptocurrency. So Australia's largest reseller of these hardware wallets is coinstop.com.au. They're one of the member businesses in the Blockchain Centre, and they're actually going global now. When we open a new centre in Lithuania next month, Coinstop are actually expanding over to Lithuania as well. So it's a real privilege to be part of this amazing ecosystem of like-minded, passionate entrepreneurs, and we're looking forward to spreading education around the world for Bitcoin and blockchain.
All right, well, there are lots of people, I think, who want to get a little bit more knowledge on it. Martin Davidson, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Okay.
We have to take a break.